Marvel loves to hide Easter eggs in their superhero movies. Sometimes they're cleverly disguised, but other times they're so obvious you think Marvel wants to slap you across the face with them. Throughout the history of the MCU, the movies we've come to know and love have given us special treats and loads of comic fan service that can make any Marvel fan happy. Today's video is all about those Easter eggs that Marvel definitely wanted to be found and what they mean or meant for the franchise overall. Sorry, James Gunn, who still stands by the fact that there is one big Guardians Easter egg no one has found yet, you won't be included in this list. Let's get started. What are the chances that two best friends from the 40s were coincidentally both put on ice, eventually de-thawed, and finally met up again in modern times? How lucky were these two? But then again, no force in the universe could keep Captain America and Bucky apart from one another, as their bond was stronger than Hulk on steroids. Over the years, these two best friends had to say a lot of goodbyes to each other, but one fun, obvious Easter egg occurs in Avengers Endgame, where Steve and Buck's final conversation is a clear callback to their very first goodbye. As Steve is about to return the Infinity Stones throughout time, meaning he'll have to meet up with Red Skull again and figure out how to re-inject Jane Foster on Asgard with the Reality Stone somehow, he has an emotional goodbye with the Winter Soldier. Cap tells Bucky, "Don't do anything stupid until I get back." To which Bucky responds, "How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you." Sick burn, Buck! But fans of the MCU know that this is the exact same conversation the two of them had when they had to say goodbye the first time in Captain America: The First Avenger. Everything really came full circle. There's still one major Thor character that is yet to be introduced in the MCU. Beta Ray Bill is a fan favorite, and for years those fans have been clamoring about when the Corbinite will finally make his long-awaited appearance. I mean, the MCU has been teasing him so much, it's only a matter of time now. Although there have just been little teases here and there, like Peter Quill finding a Corbinite skeleton in Guardians of the Galaxy, or the Endgame script revealing that the scene of 2014 Gamora attacking a planet was actually the Corbinite homeworld, we still have yet to see Beta Ray Bill appear on screen. At least, not in the flesh. In one of the most talked about Easter eggs from Thor Ragnarok, a statue for Beta Ray Bill can be clearly seen decorating the side of the Grandmaster's tower, suggesting that the warrior, who also in the comics is worthy enough to hold Mjolnir and whose normal weapon is actually Stormbreaker, was once a champion on Sakaar, much like the Hulk. These Easter eggs show that Beta Ray Bill will arrive sooner rather than later. He was already supposed to appear in Thor Ragnarok, but producers cut him out because they want to do the character justice in a future film. Can you believe that there was once a time when these MCU movies were considered risky endeavors? The franchise has grown into one of the biggest in the entire world. No, I bet it's the biggest in the entire universe, as I'm sure aliens on other planets watch and enjoy all the Avengers adventures too. But let's not forget the franchise's humble beginnings. Like, sure, now you can't go 10 seconds in an MCU movie without having some sort of fun Easter egg or comic tidbit, but way back in the first Iron Man, things were a lot different. No one knew what the franchise would grow into, which makes Easter eggs hinting at the future even more exciting. In the first Iron Man, when Tony is trying to get out of his damaged armor, eagle-eyed viewers can spot a prototype of Captain America's shield in Tony's workshop. But that was a relatively subtle Easter egg. You had to be actively looking for it in order to find it. But the second Iron Man threw the idea of subtlety out the window when the shield made a reappearance. In one of the movie's best gags, Coulson picks up the shield prototype and Tony is amazed by it. He says it's exactly what he needs, and then proceeds to use the shield as nothing more than a wedge to make his machine level. It's a funny scene and shows how this universe was about to get a whole lot bigger. Avengers Endgame had a lot of great Easter eggs and callbacks hinting at the past. But one of my favorites was Black Widow's ballet shoes. While the super spy is sitting at a table, a pair of old ballet shoes can be seen in the seat next to her. Thanks to Avengers Age of Ultron, we know that Black Widow's backstory includes intense ballet dance lessons, but it's still a chapter of her life that has been largely unexplored. Of course, this will change when the Black Widow solo movie gets released and fills in the missing gaps. The reason I really like the ballet shoes Easter egg is because I think it'll only get better with age. We know these shoes have a special meaning, but Black Widow's past is so fuzzy that we don't fully understand what it is. This is a genius-level Easter egg because it'll have more meaning in a few years when we know more about Black Widow. That's pretty cool, right? By the time Iron Man 2 came around, plans were in motion to make this world a whole lot bigger. Marvel knew they had serious potential here and quickly started to lay the foundation for what would become the world's biggest franchise. The biggest, most obvious Easter egg from the film happened at the end when Tony and Nick Fury were talking about the Avengers Initiative. While they spoke, a huge map was visible behind them, highlighting a S.H.I.E.L.D. activity map. Some of the spots marked on the map were teases for things that would pay off immediately, as there was a hotspot marker over New Mexico where Thor's hammer Mjolnir would soon be found, as well as a hotspot marker in Greenland, which would soon be where they discover the frozen capsicle that was Steve Rogers' body. And those Easter eggs are fun, but it was the references to other superheroes on the map that really got people excited. One marker is located in East Africa, in a clear reference to Wakanda, an entire 8 years before Black Panther was released. And then there's another marking in the middle of the ocean near the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is obviously pointing to the underwater kingdom of Atlantis. This is a reference to Namor the Submariner and is the only Easter egg that hasn't paid off. Yet. Can you remember what it was like as a Marvel fan to see Odin's Vault for the very first time? That was at the beginning of the MCU, where things were still being established, and then suddenly we were hit with some amazing Easter eggs all at once. My brain nearly overloaded with all the awesome comic references, and I'm sure we all went back and watched that scene multiple times to make sure we didn't miss anything. Some of the cool Easter eggs in the vault included the Warlock's Eye, a mystical superweapon that could mind control just about anyone, the tuning fork, which in the comics was used to summon the lurking unknown to Asgard to help test young Asgardian warriors, and the Tablet of Life and Time, which presented a biochemical formula for a serum that could heal anyone and transform them into an immortal state. Of course, we later learned to take all of this with a grain of salt. In Thor Ragnarok, Hela informed us that a lot of items in Odin's vault were fake and worthless. Really, they just included this line to retcon their Infinity Gauntlet mistake, as originally Odin's vault had a right-handed gauntlet while the one Thanos had was a left-handed one. As Marvel fans, we've become accustomed to sticking around to the end of the film's credits. Like, okay, let's be real here. How many of us hardcore judge the people who get up when the credits start in an MCU movie?
Let's get out of here.
We can't leave before the post-credits sequence.
I know I just want to scream at them to sit down or else they'll miss something important, but the last time I did that I got banned from my local theater. Anyway, the MCU has a reputation for placing important post-credits scenes at the end of their movies to tease the next big adventure. We've gotten to the point where not only are there post-credits scenes, but also mid-credits scenes to go along with the post-credits scene. Pretty soon there'll be no end credits and they'll just start showing the next movie in the franchise right there. But Avengers Endgame did something a little different. As this was the culmination of the entire MCU up until this point, the directors decided to forego any post-credits scene to honor the close of this chapter. But that doesn't mean there wasn't an Easter egg. Fans who stuck around until the end were greeted by sounds of a hammer clanging on metal. This was a reference to Tony Stark building his Iron Man suit way back in the first Iron Man movie. The franchise started with Tony Stark, and the directors wanted to give him a proper tribute. After Thanos won in Avengers Infinity War, we had to wait a whole year to see how the remaining superheroes would fix their current situation. Honestly, it was probably the longest year of our lives, and we just needed one question answered. Where was Hawkeye? And the brief teases of footage leading up to Endgame only got fans more and more excited. One quick image in the teaser trailer quickly got fans buzzing as it recreated one of the most iconic shots from the comics. Footage showed Thanos' armor hung up on a post like a scarecrow. Fans of the source material know that after Thanos snapped his fingers, he became a farmer and moved out of the public eye. This Easter egg brought a smile to anyone who was familiar with the original comic book, and I guess also to anyone who likes scarecrows? Tony Stark's funeral was a jam-packed event. Everyone wanted to pay respects to the hero who sacrificed himself to save the entire universe and proved that he did indeed have a heart. Almost all of the important people in Tony's life, as well as almost all of the Avengers, were there to honor him. But as the camera moved through the crowd of mourners, there was one teenager whose appearance may have elicited a surprised "huh?" from the person sitting next to you. Out of all of the recognizable faces, this teen wasn't very familiar. Was he a secret Tony Stark robot clone he made of himself to be born again? Sadly, no. He is actually a grown Harley Keener who Tony bonded with in Iron Man 3. He is practically unrecognizable because, well, we all know what puberty is like. This Easter egg is one of the sweetest because it shows just how many people Tony Stark had positively impacted in his life. Is it really an Easter egg when the producers tell you exactly what to look for? It's no secret that Disney owns two of the biggest franchises in the world with the Avengers and Star Wars, and Phase 2 of the MCU really wanted to include a fun reference to the galaxy far, far away. To honor Star Wars, Kevin Feige said that there would be a hand amputation in every Phase 2 film. And would you look at that, he was telling the truth! In Iron Man 3, Aldrich Killian gets his hand slicked off by Tony. In Thor: The Dark World, Thor fake loses a hand with Loki's help. Captain America: The Winter Soldier kinda speaks for itself with Bucky. Guardians of the Galaxy has Gamora chop off Groot's hand. And then Ultron cuts off Claw's hand in Age of Ultron. What a fun, brutal Easter egg! Which Marvel Easter egg has been your favorite? Is there any super obvious one you didn't see on the list? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to know what James Gunn's super secret Guardians of the Galaxy Easter egg is, just hit the like and subscribe button to find out. Okay, I know that sounds too good to be true, but what do you have to lose? Thanks for watching CBR. We'll see you next time.